Welcome back to FreedoniaCon 2025. We're about to start our Aetherstream, I guess, kind of Q&A announcement-y line stuff, maybe? But what's important is we have the brain behind things. We have the line developer, Todd, and Ross is here to help with questions because he's been very involved with both Interceptor and Leviathan. And Maddie's here because Maddie knows everything. Welcome, Todd. Have a great time.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction, and hello, everybody. So we'll get started, I guess, with just the general news of what we're working on, which I noticed that it's been a while since we've had anything Interceptor related come out, so we are working on what we are calling probably the Fighter Recognition Guide. So that's gonna basically be a digital product coming soon, and we'll add in the more descriptive text for all of the expansion fighters as well as the ones from the core set. So we'll also be included in there, and we will have the actual art of the apparition. The other thing that we're working on is in progress now is the Leviathan supplement, which is coming along pretty good. Gonna offer some additional options for building scenarios, environments for operating the ships in, such as orbital environment and atmospheric, planet side. So that should be fun. Also, hopefully, going to get in some other fun options to really put a whole campaign together within Leviathan, fit together for Leviathan and Interceptor. So those are the two major projects that are currently under working on. We have some other ideas, but those we can't really talk too much about because they have not even been started yet. So that brings us to Leviathan. I'm sure everybody wants to know where we're at with the original Kickstarter, so I'll let Ross give the update on that since he has the most up-to-date information.
Well, I turned on my camera so that we can show this.
The Academy set.
So you get your 4 ships. Deeper in the box are the reference cards, the ship cards for the 4 ships, 2 map sheets with different nebula this time around. That doesn't show up very well. How about that? Token sheet with status markers for Leviathan and fighter, squadron, and flight tokens. The rule book in living color. Markers, power allocation tokens, dice, and the Academy set card deck, which gives you all of the firing arc cards, squadron cards, and captain's cards. For both the Empire and the Commonwealth. So that's what's in the Leviathan Academy set. They are currently being collated. The latest estimate I have is that the factory will get them out the door the end of the first week of March, and hopefully on board ship March 8th, plus or minus a day or two or three. That means delivery here in the US sometime probably mid-April, and then we ship them out. US backers have a good shot of getting them by the end of April. International, probably going to be first half of May. In addition to the Academy set, we also have following.
I suppose they didn't send you a Leviathan.
Well, be patient.
Oh,
For people who don't buy the Academy set and just bought the rulebook and ships, there's a card deck is available separately, so you can get your captain's cards and firing arc cards and squadron cards. For folks who run out of or lose power tokens, we have a discard of extras. And then, last but not least, we have some ships.
nice.
Nice.
So
Every time I see them, they're bigger than I remember them being. And
so this is not quite as much as Maddie has ordered, but getting there. But Todd, you asked about the Leviathan. So let's open it up and see if they packed it correctly.
a surprise for everybody.
Yep.
Well, luckily, this is still at the phase. If something's wrong, we still have time to tell them before it gets on the boat.
Yep. So we have Leviathan record card. We have power allocation tokens. All 32 of the normals. We have a blank captain's card. And we have the model. First thing, nice firm fit. And we're ready to go.
Very nice.
So any other requests in terms of models?
Yeah, can I have that one, please? Just knowing how big the map you've got on the background there is
Yeah,
wow.
all of these are opened up
huge.
on the battle mat. Yeah.
It's interesting looking
I-
at this
Ooh,
because what it reminds me of is, has anybody ever played the game Mass Effect? It's a video game.
We may have.
Okay, so there's a part in Mass Effect 3 which is just beautiful. But there's a part in Mass Effect 3 when there's one person competing against another person in a game called Kapesh Yakshi, which means Blade of the Night Winds. It kind of like this, where the object is to, in that game, it's to destroy the other planet by going through the Armada. That thing is huge. That is why it reminded me of that, because that thing is just so damn big.
Well,
These pieces are much bigger than I thought they would be.
and right.
Actually, that's something, Ross.
Hmm?
Did you get the ability for the Leviathan to hold the thingy, not the javelin, the hornet and the spiculum? Yeah.
You can sort of see the where it would grip, but you're on your own as far as
Now that's cool.
let's see, where's
So in
the
theory, we could glue a couple magnets there, and
the hornet. Let's see what.
Yeah, I might have to convert my Leviathans to be able to hold them on the underside as well. Get those magnets in there.
So the hornet comes with a detachable fin. Again, you can see the. So you would have to build up the connector, Maddie, or figure out how to move the hornet's bottom wings. That's what's really keeping it from attaching properly. So again, all of the Leviathan stuff is in the same status. Last time we spoke about it publicly was just before Chinese New Year factory shutdowns, where they were still trying to ensure that the fit between ship and base was nice and solid and proper. And, from these three examples, they're doing the job. They're getting it right so that you won't need the X-Acto knife to carve the slot or anything like that once you get them in your hands. So that's the update for Leviathan.
so now I got to work that guy into a scenario now for Gen Con, huh?
Well, remember, Todd, should we talk about this stuff?
Sure, let's.
May
So
I
you
ask,
could do the.
may-
You could
if I
go
may
ahead.
ask, sir, who is the design team on that? Because that's intense.
Oh. Todd is the line developer.
But designing the models.
Yeah.
Well, let's go down the list. Dan Klein and I are looking over Todd's shoulder and saying, "No, do it this way, do it that way." Dan did model design for the Terran Commonwealth fighters and the Empire fighters. Since that point, I guess he did. Did he do the Babylonian fighters? I don't recall.
I think that was like the transition period. He did some of them, and I think they got reworked.
And we just.
I'm sorry.
But
Continue. Sorry.
we are always combing the internet for images that we like. And we came across an artist who was doing big ship design for his own gratification and, presenting battle scenes and that sort of thing. And his name is Elias Stern. He lives in Austria. I sent him an email saying, "Hey, would you be interested?" And he said, "Sure, why not?" So Babylonians, Free Trade, and Allied Worlds fighters were designed by him, and all of the capital ships were designed by him with input from us. And he has done a magnificent job. As you can see, we've got, and I think, everybody's seen what the Empire and Commonwealth ships look like, but this is the first go round for the next faction. And these would be the Babylonian Union. So as you can tell from this spread, that perhaps the ships have been designed, but we don't have them created yet in print. And for comparison's sake,
Okay.
see, I guess I can move them down.
One thing I never asked, and I might have, like, is there like a hierarchy as to all the different factions, like the Calistonians versus the Commonwealth, as far as a hierarchy of weaponry, like who's got more money into defense and stuff like that?
Todd?
Vaguely, but probably nothing that I've sat down and put on paper.
Okay.
But overall, if you had to nail me down on it, I would say that the Commonwealth currently has the edge on
That makes sense.
everything. Well, along with their mostly ally, the Free Trade Directorate, so. So between those two, they're definitely they have the advantage of production. Now, technologically, the Allied world probably has an edge on tech. They just don't have the production edge to put it all out there.
Okay.
And the Babylonians have taken a brute force path to design and manufacture.
Exactly.
And the Empire has is playing catch up with the Commonwealth and doing a good job at it, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, and I would say like some of their designs, especially in the larger ships, still depend mostly on being carriers rather than big gunships.
And certainly, looking at fighter fleets, the Empire has a better fighter mix than the Commonwealth does, but perhaps not as good as the Allied worlds. Except for the Bolt.
Well, except for the Bolt. The gold standard.
Learning a lot. I really like the way those look. Yeah, I think my favorite is the fourth from the left. Yeah, that one.
Well,
I like it because it's ugly.
What you can't see in the top-down view is the fact that it has descending wing edges that perhaps might be able to be extended.
That looks like a B-29, like a... No, that's not right. Looks like the plane at the end of Captain America. Big old airfoil. That's it. Oh, you know what it reminds me of? A B-2 Spirit.
I can see that a little bit. If we get the foldable wings, though, that'll be cool. Or surfaces, whatever they end up finding them as.
Now that's Calistonian, yeah? The purple?
Yep.
Yep.
If we're going by colors, that is not at all the yellow that I thought it was going to be. Oh, it's different shades. Is there
so we did different. So the shades. So there's a shade for carriers, spinal mount, and
Other.
What was the other? Other, yeah.
This is where I helped a little by saying I love this idea. That's as helpful as I've been.
That way, if nobody ever painted them, you could still say, okay, this one has a spinal mount, this one's a carrier, you know.
Well, and your cards all match and your dice all match, so you can keep all of the factions separate
There's
and know
different
which ones are
dice.
which. Oh yeah, we have dice that match each.
I feel like
Faction.
I feel
Yeah.
like an a-hole for coming in so late.
No, you're peachy. Glad you made it.
Yeah, you were only like 5 minutes late.
Oh, okay.
Just a moment here.
Yeah, everyone loves talking about the Leviathan and the Interceptor, and no matter how many times someone's asked before, there's always going to be someone new, and we just love
I'm
talking
looking
about
forward
it.
to see what the Hydra looks like.
I want one of those
That's
ogres too, please,
cool.
Ross.
What was that?
Can I have one of the ogres as well, please? I'll send it back, I promise.
Well, it won't happen with the Interceptor stuff, but when the Leviathan stuff ships, you will be getting some extras to finish painting the collection.
Done deal. Actually, that's something else that Todd could probably not talk about.
Uh-oh.
There's a question for later then. How's the deployment of the last of the Interceptor stuff from the AW and FTD? How's that going to the rest of the world?
It's going. The
That's interesting. That's the Hydra.
that's the
That's
Hydra.
a Hydra, yep.
Pretty. I like it. Yep. Calistonians have much better looking ships.
They do. They're sexy.
See, it seems like 50-50. Some people say that the Commonwealth one's better, some think. I would say there's a mix.
What's the
The Leviathan looks like. Do you remember in? I do a lot of movie references. I apologize. In
It's okay.
episode 2, when Obi-Wan's flying to not Geonosis, the Trade Federation and all the planets where he like attaches his tiny little Jedi fighter to the jump thing. It looks like a Jedi fighter.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think my favorite though is probably the Dire Wolf on the Calistonian side. Besides being super fast, I think like if we ever got around to an RPG, that would be like a good PC player character kind of ship.
Hey Ross, for a size comparison,
Hmm?
can you put one of the Interceptor ships up there?
I don't want to get.
Whatever ship that is in the middle looks like it's in motion. The webcam.
Oh yeah, because the webcam's blurry.
I can recommend a good one, Ross.
Sometimes I'm not sure it's the camera. I think it's the
I think
internet
he's using his
video
phone or
feed.
something. Are you using your phone? Very possibly. That is so cool looking.
It's probably Discord. I blame everything on Discord.
I blame everything on living in the middle of nowhere. So,
Oh wow.
yeah. See, I think that
No,
that
the
gives
fighters
you,
are not to scale.
No, but it
I was
gives you
gonna
an
say,
idea
you
of
cannot
how
fit-
big.
You cannot fit 48 in a Leviathan.
But it gives you an idea of how big the Leviathan and stuff is.
Yeah. That's a lot of hexes.
So to answer the next question, yes, you do want extra battle mats to fit all of these massive ships on, so you can have your massive fleet battles.
Yeah, if I do the scenario at Gen Con where we're going to have a few big items on the map, I think I might have to get an extra one going.
Well, it's really too bad I can't have my camera and a screen share on at the same time. Otherwise, I have a photo or an image for Maddie to take a look at. Maybe we'll do that at the end here.
Oh, there we go. That'd be a fun tease.
Yep,
if it's the one I'm thinking of.
it is the one you're thinking of.
Okay.
So these were, the box game and the final ships were delivered for our approval last week. Again, going into finishing up all production next week and the beginning of the following week, and getting it all out our manufacturer's store by March 5th to March 8th.
Looking at the Babylonian ship, just since we're saying things look like things, the smallest one reminds me of the player ship in Star Control 2. Now that
yeah.
now that I'm looking at it from like a distance.
Oh, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Well, and Dan has
you
made.
can see the things that inspire me.
Since we're talking about that kind of reference, one of the fighters you put out almost looks like a really, really tiny Klingon fighter. The tiny one on the right.
The Banshee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's inspired by something else, actually.
Yeah, a lot of the Interceptor ones are inspired by the original FASA Games Interceptor designs.
Oh.
Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but we tried to throw some in there. Our favorites.
That looks like something
Gladiators.
out of the Red Planet game from way back in the day.
One thing I can say about these Babylonian ships is that they're going to be really bulky compared, like, placed next to the other fleets. So
That was their design parameter.
no, that's cool, but yeah, I'm going to have to think about like what goes into the sheet, the record sheet now, to kind of.
See, I like
Because
that.
especially compared to the Calistonians.
I like that they have
More
kind of
structured
themes.
boxes.
That they have a particular style for each faction.
Agreed. Yeah, that third blue and white one you put, it looks like one of the mining ships from the old BattleTech Center Red Planet game when they were doing the trench races.
But in fact, it is, Maddie.
It's Gladius from Renegade Legion Interceptor. Nearly 1-for-1. Dan's made it look prettier with advanced modeling techniques, but
And this,
yeah. I don't know.
Looks like a rapier from Battlestar.
or a fluttering pedal from Renegade Legion.
Fluttering pedal.
Inspired by.
Wait. Fluttering paddle. That's a horrible name.
Pedal.
Who named it? Pedal. That's even worse. Who named that?
Well, that was before Leaf and a Wind became a meme, so.
Oh.
Hey, naming things is hard, Andy.
It actually
sometimes
is.
Things
I
get
know that.
named. Things get named early in design, and that ends up being the name at the end of design.
I will say
Right,
that's one of the things that I've learned working for the company is that the naming gets hard because you want cool names, but you don't want something that's overused. And sometimes take like Magic Deeper Secrets or something like that, where you have lists and lists of knacks and spells. I think it just gets hard. So I give you that.
Well, we almost had a ship called the something fighter, I guess. Is that what it was, Todd? For a long time, it was
I
called
think it was
something.
the ogre. The ogre was the something something until we decided just to call it the ogre. Because it was named something else, and I decided I really didn't like that name at all, and I couldn't come up with something different.
So yes, names are hard. Names of games are that much more difficult. Yes.
It was a very, very long time ago when this particular game was called Aetherstream the Big 'Un.
You could always do what the military did back in the 80s and just push a button on an operation machine. It would just spit two random words out.
Well, I mean, with random name generators online, that's how 90% of this stuff got named
Oh, there you go,
anyways.
yeah.
Well, and definitely the captains and pilots
Eventually-
and
And the list
Eventually,
goes
you'll
on.
come out with a game called Blather and Blatherskite. It's going to happen.
Can I name
That kills
pilots?
anybody.
I can name them after my grandpa. So, technically.
Yeah, I'm always open to names. You just got to let me know.
Awesome.
And that goes out to fans too. If you got a name, you can send it to me, and it'll probably work its way into the game at some point. I have a list. I have a spreadsheet of names I have not yet used.
I'm going
I
to put a player
love that
called
idea.
Gerald Mander.
I love the idea of fans sending in names. That's a great plan.
We have any other questions or things we want to know that I probably can or can't answer, or we'll just make up on the spot?
Who's doing the art in the game book? Wait, there's another question I have. How big is the box going to be if this stuff is that big?
Which box?
How many boxes is the actual game going to come in? Did I miss that in the opening?
Well, so there's
Yeah.
the,
Well, the Academy.
Academy starter set, right? Which he can show you what comes in it, but then you'd have to buy a lot of the other stuff separately. And I think Todd is much better at answering that.
Yeah, so the Academy set comes with just four of the smaller ships, two for the Empire and two for the Commonwealth.
Comes with these
then-
four ships.
Yep. And it'll have like pretty much everything you need to play the game: the rule books, some maps, dice, counters, all that stuff. And then all the other ships are basically add-on boxes, so they'll come in their own box. So the smaller ones, there'll be two in a box. The bigger ones, like the Leviathan, is one in a box.
Wow.
And interior art for the books was your other question?
Mm-hmm.
Todd?
It's mostly been Don at this point, I think, Don Higgins. I don't know if we've had, I can't
Well,
remember
for
off the
the-
top of my head if we had any,
For the most part, we try and use photographs of figures. And
which
Maddie
is
can take
Dan
it
and
about,
Maddie.
which, yeah, all of these.
Definitely for Leviathan, yeah.
So Maddie painted all of the capital ships for us, as shown in the rule book.
And Dan painted all of the interceptors.
I think that's why we're willing to keep sending them more models. They do such a great job painting them.
And then Elias does some of the 3D stuff for us, right? So like
Elias
the cover and
creates the
stuff.
original models, and we commission him to do, so far, most of our covers.
Got it. Yeah, I like the cover. It makes it look like everything's in motion.
And let's one last thing to show, I guess. For those who participated in the Kickstarter campaign. We have the
How
battle
big is that?
poster.
Well, that's shiny.
A1. So it's, just under 2 feet by 3 feet.
Hey, Todd, I have a question.
Sure.
When do we get cooperative play?
That's one of the many things I can't talk about because I haven't started it, but I have a folder and some notes on it.
Okay. You know I'm looking forward to that, right?
But I don't want to promise anything. Well, yeah, I also looking forward to that as well as the potential of like solo games as well. Just because, as Ross mentioned, it's often hard to find players.
How difficult Maddie, has it been to play fairly in your Interceptor campaign that you've been reporting? Exactly.
I try very hard.
I was
I've
gonna
only
say-
had one game where I've outright replayed it because I didn't like the results. That was a Leviathan game, though.
What happened?
Well, I went back and I reread the rulebook and I thought I could do this differently and have it more interesting. The first go around, the ships, the opposing forces didn't get into contact, basically. So I threw in some extra rules and stipulations about one side and kind of forced the combat, and got a much more interesting to write about result.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and I've gone to, or I posted on the Discord for the local game shop, but I got crickets, so I think I'm going to have to go down there with some miniatures on open game night and see if I can just rope somebody into a game.
Well, that's the great thing about the carrying case. You can actually do that. I want to do that with both my local micropub, who has a games night once a month, and there's some friendly local game stores around that will probably be open to it as soon as they actually open their doors.
But maybe they'll see it at Gamma, and then
So, carrying case, aforementioned carrying case with custom cutouts
Wow.
for each of the ships.
You'll want one of these if you're going anywhere with your Leviathan stuff, because the Mauler's wings, they can get snapped if you're not careful. Plus also protecting your paint job.
I was gonna say I don't want
And-
any of them broken. They're pricey.
yeah.
And same for the fighters.
And as Mr. Pink has pointed out, yes, there's a nice logo on the bag.
Both.
We had some of the bags at Gen Con. They're really nice. They're well constructed. Have little pouches for your books and your dice and all that.
And they also just don't fold up from the top. They fold down.
Makes it much easier to load and unload.
Then you just shake it out, am I right? Just shake it vigorously.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yeah. Hey guys, are we all ready to play? Here we go. Here we go.
No, we're very proud of the quality of stuff we've got, the look and feel of it. You know, these things will last for as long as you have your game.
Here's a question: are those things hollow?
The ships?
Depends.
Yeah, like they look resin printed, but like, is the Leviathan like hollow on the inside?
If you look closely, you can see a seam line right there. And that is one piece of the ejection mold. Turrets are a separate piece. This is a third piece. These two are separate pieces. So if you take this out, yes, there will be some hollowing out in there, but it still has a nice heft to it.
Great place to put the fighter jets.
So again, it just depends on the model. So the Leviathan is hollow. The quiver here has probably a little bit of carve out in it. The Hydra, on the other hand, is
Probably
pretty solid. Again, if you look closely at the model, you'll be able to see the seam line. And, you know, there's a piece here, and then the front assembly.
Got it.
So our manufacturing partner did an excellent job at designing the molds for these things so that they go together, you know, almost imperceptibly. You really have to look and know what you're looking for to understand how these things were put together. And, you know, on all the ones we've taken out so far, you can see no evidence of, you know, super glue cloud on any of the models. So they've done a really nice job of putting everything together for us.
How many phases of print approval have you guys had to go through as far as the models go?
More than 2.
Really?
Actually, Ross is probably better for that.
Let me see if I can do this right. Just a moment.
Now we see how Ross ends up with so much stuff in his collection
Yeah, I was
of
just thinking
boxes to
that.
go through in, you know, 10 years, and he's going through the box and, oh, this is all the Leviathan stuff.
So, and a lot of the models we 3D print ourselves, but the Leviathan was bigger than we had. It was just too big for us to print in any of the printers we have access to.
Okay.
So this was number one. Number two, and this one was before we were figuring out how bases were going to work, and we knew what we wanted the upright to look like, but we hadn't gotten them, or we had given them the bottom, but they hadn't looked at it yet, honestly. And this was mainly to make sure everything worked right and that the magnet locking system works properly. Something we haven't talked about today, but the bases are held on by magnets. The next one was to get the final base and make sure it fit properly in the model. This one you can see is different colors, whatever they had available when they were making the injection mold tests. You can see in here that that slot has been carved out, shall we say, so that we could fit the base properly. Again, trying to make sure. That shows you how heavy the Leviathan model is. The base sticks, but the model is too big too. And then we have production, where you can tell that the slot is straight out of the mold.
Mhm.
Base, same. And one of the key things is to make sure that the magnets can be in contact, that there's no air between them once you have things in place, so that everything grips nicely. And granted, these are right out of the mold, so the fit is very tight, and that will wear as you take them in and out of the molds, in and out of the slots, but still very good looking. And unfortunately, because we couldn't print the Leviathan on its own, we weren't able to send a 3D print to our painter. And that didn't work right. And we printed the bases for Maddie to create the ships that were used in the rule book. So there's a painted Hydra. And you can tell it was done by a 3D print, because if you look at the bottom, you can sort of see modifications were made in the bottom here, especially, and here, to accommodate the final base. So many different versions of all of these ships sitting around. And I guess one of the favorites, of course, is this ship. So, that there's a good story behind how a Hydra in Commonwealth colors came to be.
Oh,
Yeah, real collector's piece, that one.
Again, remember, injection molding is not simply a matter of pressing a button and out comes a finished piece. The steel mold, which is going to weigh perhaps hundreds of pounds, depending on how big it is, has to be heated up. The material has to be at the right temperature and viscosity before you can get successful pieces. So changing colors is sometimes a pain in the butt. So they just gave us versions in whatever color they had running, just so that we could see the finished version of it and make sure that the output from the mold was acceptable. And in this one, if you look closely, you can see little deformities in the plastic, little indents, little imperfections that they fix in the finishing process for the mold. That's why we get so many pieces, to make sure that they're all acceptable before they do the production run.
All right. So should we show off our secret to Maddie now, since we're on our last 9 minutes?
Probably. Do we want to do it all at once, or do we build up to it?
I'm not sure how we would build up to it.
Let's see. I think we build up to it by starting with this one. So let's hope I don't break this.
He broke Discord.
Let's see if we can find him.
Ooh. What is that?
Hold on, I've got to get the... There we go.
Oh, there we go. All right. Waiting
There
for it
we
to pop
are.
up. There we go.
I
So
get
Space station.
that is a space station. Concept design, we're maybe 75% through the design process. But like any component in deep space, it's modular, so that we can do things like maybe this. Nope, let's go this way. Like that.
Oh, you closed your
Okay,
stream.
hold on. Yeah, you closed your stream.
Okay. Oh, it didn't like the wind. Well,
I think he didn't like that you backed
sucks.
out of it.
That.
There we go. Give me just a second. Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Oh, cool.
Right, order more maps.
Yes. So the idea is, I don't know, I think we lost Ross on audio, but oh, there he is. He's back. So the idea is that each one of these on its own could hold, what would we determine, like 8 of these little little modules, 7
One of the
modules.
little modules. Yeah.
Yep. So modules would have different functions, TBD, but and then they could also be connected so that you could connect them and have a much bigger structure. So,
And again, you can see by the size of the base in these images what how big the station is.
yeah, so we're using the large ship base, so the 4 hex base. So these will be rather hefty in size. And this will kind of become our modular station that, kind of be used for various purposes, civilian, military, so it can be used in campaigns and scenarios, for varying purposes.
How do they compare?
So it won't be just,
How do they compare in size to like the Leviathan? Same base.
let's see,
So about the same length?
probably about half the length it looks like. With the module, maybe 3/4.
No, I think it's good. It's 8 hexes long.
Oh, okay. So pretty close.
With the module. From the end to the end of the module appears to be about 8 hexes. 6 hexes plus for the main station, and another hex and a half for the module.
So it's going to be pretty close then to the size of the Leviathan.
Yep.
Wow. See, I think this would make
And with that,
cooperative play better.
Oh, absolutely.
but the goal is to have at least print versions of some of this stuff available for Todd to inflict on players at Gen Con.
So that's one of our future products. So that probably would be coming along with the campaign supplement whenever that Kickstarter happens. I'm guessing that's our goal, or
Yeah, I mean, you one of your tasks for the campaign supplement is space station rules.
yep.
All right. Are there any other questions for Todd?
Looks pretty good.
Goodbye, Mr. Pink. All right. I know that Ross needs to go and double check on his auctions.
Yep, doing that now.
Gonna say
Wait, what?
good. The auctions, they're almost over. You've got like 3 minutes.
Where?
There's a channel right below the text channel for this that says auction house. And you can private message, direct message Ross with your bids. You got time. Go get it. With that,
We
goodbye.
got 3 minutes.
Goodbye, Todd. It was I learned a lot. And I love the new space station. Looking forward to it.